Sports and Tri-State Megabucks present Stars and Strikes Doubles. From the Londonderry Bowling Center, Stars and Strikes Doubles features the best candlepin bowlers from around New England in team competition. Stars and Strikes Doubles is produced in conjunction with the New Hampshire Candlepin Bowling Association. And now your hosts, Doug Brown and Dan Murphy.
And welcome to semifinal weekend here on the Winds from the Londonderry Bowling Center at Stars and Strikes Doubles. Good afternoon to you. I'm Doug Brown along with Dan Murphy, and we're down to our final three teams, Dan, but one of the teams that we have competing this week already with 2 wins, they're very hot.
Not only hot, but they're bowling very well as a team. They're halfway home. They got 2 wins, 2 more, and they're in the Tournament of Champions.
All right, let's meet our teams. First of all, the team we're talking about with 2 wins already, our number 4 seeded pair. From Pelham, New Hampshire, Ed Joralmon. His partner from East Kingston, New Hampshire, is Brian Fuller.
Okay, Ed comes in averaging 124 and Brian at 120, but as a team in their 2 victories, they've been averaging 133 as a team.
They have really piled up the marks. 2 weeks ago, they had 20 marks on the way to a 427. Last week, they dropped a little bit, but a 369 was more than enough to get their 2nd win in a row. So today, they try for number 3 straight, and they'll face our number 2 seeded team, both from Haverhill, Massachusetts, Norm Bourque and Rick Chojecki.
Okay, Norm comes in averaging 123. His roll-off score was 677. And Rick Chojecki comes in averaging 128 and a 676 for his roll-off score.
All right, the runner-up team today, of course, will take home 3rd place prize money. The winners will come back for championship weekend next week. We'll tell you more about that a little bit later on. 3 strings of candlepin doubles bowling coming up here on Stars and Strikes. Don't go away. We'll be right back. We have reached the semifinals here on Stars and Strikes Doubles, and 3 teams remain. The number 5 team, Bill Norton and Tim Lipke, the first victims of Ed Joralmon and Brian Fuller. Last week they knocked off the number 3 seeds, Rick Barassa and Dave Richards. Today they take on in the semifinals Norm Bourque and Rick Chojecki. The winners today move on next week, Saturday at noon here on Stars and Strikes Doubles. The championship match against Larry Valcourt and Charlie Willie. Of course, the winners today, in addition to moving on, also get a chance to qualify for the Tournament of Champions. So to get a shot at that match, you got to win this one here today. Brian Fuller and Ed Joralmon have already won 2 matches. I did say Dan Valcourt, didn't I? It's Dan Valcourt next week.
Doug, you know I'd never listen to you.
I thought for a moment I might have said Larry, but it's Dan.
This got Valcourt, right? I'm pretty sure he did say Dan. It's Dan, anyways. 7, 8, 9 for Brian. Couple pieces of wood in front of the one in front of the 7 and the 8, and the other one resting against 8 and 9, and one resting against the 9. You wanted to catch a piece of that front one, I'm sure. Like that.
For the 10 bucks.
Game of inches sometimes, as you saw there.
This team has their strategy well thought out now. Ed Joralmon said last week, hey, the way Brian's bowling in those 10th boxes, he's been on fire, getting multiple marks in the 10th boxes of games. He wrapped up the match 2 weeks ago with a triple strike in the 10th, and he gets a spare there in the 2nd. Now Norm Bourque. On lane 30 here at the Londonderry Bowling Center. Norm was with us once last season here on doubles competition. In fact, he and Bruno DeFeo came in as the number 1 seeded team back in April, but they lost their championship match to Bill Hart and Mark Arnold, but they were just one of 4 teams to lose to Bill and Mark as they reeled off 4 straight wins, coming up from the bottom of the pack, which is what Brian and Ed are trying to do here. Since we've been doing both shows, Dan, it seems to happen more often in doubles than it does in singles, that team will come up from the bottom.
Just the 3-6 left for Norm.
But we have a little bit of a roll going on in singles competition on Stars and Strikes on Sundays at noon. Don't forget tomorrow's semifinal match in singles. Tom Morgan will be going for his 3rd straight win. He's already beaten Kevin Davis and Bill Koffold. Tomorrow at noon, he faces Mark Gregory. This is Ed Joralmon now on the spare left by his partner. 5 is the fill.
He was right on, flush on the 3-pin. It looked like half Worcester time, but he was able to scramble him around and get 5 anyways on the spare.
Just missing the head pin. And it's a 9-box. Red. $250 goes to the losing team today. The winning team moves into the finals next week. And of course, the winning team next week splits first prize money of $800 and also moves into the Tri-State Megabucks Doubles Tournament of Champions in the spring. Tri-State Megabucks, of course, the presenting sponsor here on Stars and Strikes Doubles. With us for many years now, and we appreciate their support. Just imagine being rich. Tri-State Megabucks.
410 left for Ed. Just a 9, 43. Now our first look at Rick Chojecki in about, what, 5 years, Doug?
Yeah, it's been since February of 1988. Rick finally made his way back here.
It's not that bad of a ride either. I don't know what the problem is. It's right up 93.
Last time Rick was here was in singles competition back in 1988, and he lost to Pat Pay. Very tough match. Rick threw a 392 and lost. Pat Pay threw a 157 final game at him to win it. Here's a 10 for Rick.
Well, a short approach for Rick. And you see the replay of that 10 box.
Rick does a lot of bowling right here at Londonderry, so he must know the way. Bowls here a lot. Little backup ball there.
Twist it from, well, actually the ball wants to break from left to right. It's pretty straight, but it wants to, with a spin on it, if anything, it's going to break a little bit back to the right. Spare in the 4th.
1 mark each team. Back around for Brian Fuller. Fuller and Joralmon, the red team. Bourque and Chojecki, the blue team. If you're scoring at home.
.47 left for Brian.
By the way, speaking of scoring at home, we've had some requests come in both by mail and by phone to get back scores from matches, and those of you who had inquired and were wondering, it's so difficult, the paperwork involved and so on. It'd be difficult for us to try and keep track of the requests and so on for back scores. We do try and mention back scores as much as we can when guys come on the program to give you a sense of what they've done in previous appearances and so on. So We apologize for the fact that we just could not accommodate the request for sending out copies of score sheets, for example, but we do know that a lot of people keep score at home. And we do appreciate your understanding.
Seven-pin piece of wood out in front. That was a 9 fill for Norm on his partner's spare, and he follows up with one himself in the 5th. 2 marks in a row and a 4-pin advantage, plus this bonus ball.
For those of you who are new to this format, and we have thousands of new homes, especially in Massachusetts, hooked onto the cable now, watching us here on WNDS, so you may be seeing our doubles program for the first time. It's called the Scotch format because the 2 bowlers on each team alternate 2 boxes at a time. So at the end of the match, one bowler on each team has rolled 16 boxes, the other has rolled 14. When the match begins, the bowlers choose who will lead off the match, and they have to keep that order for 2 games. Then to start the 3rd game, they can change the order if they want. If someone's hot, if they want to get somebody else those extra 2 frames to finish the match, they can change the order if they'd like. And we've talked also from time to time about the unique pressures of bowling in this format, because it's a lot different. The pressures are a lot different than when you're bowling in singles competition just for yourself. I had a situation a moment ago where Norm Bourque came up and filled a mark left by his partner. That's kind of like alternate shot in golf. Somebody hits that approach shot 5 feet from the pin, you don't want to miss the putt.
That's right. Plus, they want to carry their own weight and give their partner a mark to work on as well, and that's a lot to it. But it takes 2, and as I mentioned the opening of the show, Ed Joralmon and Brian Fuller have been the ultimate as a team, averaging over just about 133 a game.
And they've split the production too. They've really been splitting the marks up. So neither one of them has really had to carry the load. Eight box for Ed. 80 through 8.
A little slower start this week than they have been. But we haven't got to the 10th box yet, and that's where Brian has been doing a lot of damage. So Rick Chojecki on lane 30. 3, 6, 4, 7. Piece of wood in front of both of those pairs. I think if it were me, I think I'd go at the 6 and 10. That's what Brian is doing, and got a piece of wood to jump over there, but didn't clear out the 4 or the 7.
That'll be an 8 for Rick. 9-pin lead for the team. Big first ball that time for Rick, but look at the lead.
Break.
The 4-5 with no wood. 5-6 rather, with no wood. Either way, it's not
a pleasant sight.
Not a fun lead.
No. Especially when you put the ball in the 1-3 pocket, as he just did, and you think you got a better break than what he was left with. He works it out for the 10, though.
Final 2, game 1 for Brian Fuller. Brian Fuller now, including today, has made 9 appearances on Stars and Strikes between the 2 shows. In his first 8, he's now 7-1. The only time he's lost was back in the doubles tournament of champions last spring when he was paired with Steve Vadney. They lost the semifinal match to Chuck Godzik and Peter Flynn. Had a piece of wood way out in front of the four horsemen right for Brian, so that'll be cleared away by, well, maybe it won't be cleared away. Tanya Murphy-Lewis waiting it out. That pin seemed to roll all the way up and stop, and now it's rolling back. And they roll all the way back on the plate. If it stops where it is now, it's not good news for Brian.
No, it's not. It's covering the head pin. And so he's going to have a real difficult time getting at the head pin.
Nope.
Drove the ball through to clear the head pin out, but didn't get much help on the 6 and the 10.
Well, no magic this time in the final two. A 5 box for Brian and then a 10 in the 10th. So a 95 for the team. Norm Bourque in the 9th. He'll shoot at the 2-6.
And a piece of wood left of the 2 pin, which I think you probably want a piece of that as he goes by. Oh,
no.
Just behind the 6.
Good effort, though.
You can gain 5 in count because they're opposite of 5 frame here.
And he does. Makes the lead 16. Let's take a look at what happened on the spare try. Wow, 2 pieces of wood. Just missed that 6 pin. Well, let's see if he gets some help on the 8. The wood will stay.
1, 3, and 8.
No. Really kind of a quiet game for both teams. Be really able to get hot as yet. That's a 10 box for Norm and a 1-11. So 16 pins will be the difference after 1. Bourque and Chojecki in the lead, the first time in 3 weeks that Joralmon and Fuller have trailed at the end of the game. We'll be back with game 2 here on Stars and Strikes Doubles in a minute. Rick Chojecki starts game 2 here on Stars and Strikes Doubles.
Leading by 16.
Had a talk with Rick before the match. Of course, he was joking about staying away for so long, 5.5 years between appearances, and he's saying, hey, and it's not like I wasn't trying. He said what was happening, and I imagine this might happen to a number of folks who try out for the show. They were rolling the big score in the preliminary match and the preliminary roll-off, and then not rolling a good score in the finals. And of course, if you want to roll the big score, you want to save it for the final roll-off. Look and see what happened on that last shot. The high-low jack. Don't see it made very often, with wood or not. Rick hasn't had much to shoot at so far. There have only been 3 marks in the match to this point.
Pretty good effort. Try to catch a piece of the wood as he's going by and have the ball deflect off the wood into the 3 and 6.
The 9 box for 18 to start. So now we'll see what Ed Joralmon and Brian Fuller can do working from behind for the first time. Long drought without a mark for the team.
Oh, wow.
It is over, I think. Yes, the drought is over. The head pin, the last one to go. Missed the head pin twice and got a spare.
Look at this. See the replay. Swings, wraps around the head pin. It's going to fall. No, it's not, and then it is.
Ended an 8-box drought without a mark for the team. Right back on the head pin.
A lot of time, a break like that will get you going. This time the 5 and 10, makeable shot with the wood like that. He's going to have to play the 5-pin or to the left of the 5-pin, though. No. Can't go on the inside because that turned the wood and drove it into the pit area rather than across the lane into the 10.
Well, they've taken 9 pins off the lead after 2 boxes. So it's now 7. Norm Bourque now from Haverhill, Mass. with his wife Patricia, son Christopher and daughter Jennifer. Norm works for AT&T.
5 and 8, then the 8-pin drops, leaves just a 5. Piece of wood looking right at him, though.
No, no.
He's going to get it.
Yes. Just the way he played it.
He turned around and says, it evens out. He was talking about the spare by Ed Joralmon.
Now he has to see if he can take advantage by putting a big number as the fill.
How's that?
That's a pretty big number. 9.
And the 9-pin left. Nice guide to the right. If you're going to miss to the right. Still have a chance of making it off the wood. That's what he does. Play it safe.
That's 4 marks for the team.
Brian Fuller trying to keep pace now. 4 horsemen right.
There it is. Nicely done. It's a lot tougher than it looks, that shot. Brian made it look easy there. Looking for more. A 7 fill.
2, 4, 6.
Nope. So they've gained some ground, but when we come back from this break, Norm Bourque and Rick Chojecki will
Pretty good to get out of this with just a 10. They need marks, though. That pushes the lead up to 26. And they're still facing another mark.
Oh, big ball there for Ed Joralmon. Strike in the 6th. First strike of the match.
A much-needed strike, I should say, too, because the other team is working on 4 spares in a row just to keep pace. Down by 26. Norm Bourque will fill the spare now in the 6th box.
Looking for number 5 in a row, and there is a 2 fill on the half Worcester.
You know, I almost feel a momentum swing here with a strike and now 2 on the spare for Norm.
Oh, trying to play it inside. Bails out that time with the 8. Lean 29 now for Norm Bourque. The fin hit didn't really work for him, though. 2, 8, 10. With wood. Chance for a flyer here.
Yeah, the way the wood's angled, all you do is try to pinch it on the wood side. Could fly it. Didn't get enough to the left-hand side to cause the wood to fly to the right and have a chance at that 10-pin. There'll be 2 open frames.
After the 4 marks in a row.
Big chance right here for Brian Fuller to climb back in this one. Down by 28, working on a strike. 2 weeks ago, had a triple strike the last box.
Well, these are the 3 pins that were knocked out on that shot a moment ago that we saw. And there it is for a spare. Nice shot.
That was on strike, too. You see him just the head pin off the wall. Almost missed the 7. That cuts the lead to 16 minus this ball.
Only
Strange.
5. Yeah, very strange lead. Tough one there. Mentioned the towns in Massachusetts that have joined us along the cable systems. I want to say a special hello to those folks now enjoying candlepin bowling here on the Winds on Neshoba cable. Tingsboro, Westford, Concord, Shirley, Boxborough, Ashby, Carlisle, Littleton, Ayer, Townsend, and Ashburnham. And also on Warner cable in Malden, Medford, Chelsea, Everett, Melrose, Somerville, Swampscott, Winthrop, Salem, and Lynn.
It's quite a lineup. A lot of people now.
And if we missed any towns, we apologize. Tried to get them all in. But we're happy you're with us here on the Winds. That is quite a lineup. Of course, I'm sure most people are aware it's been a rather tumultuous summer in terms of cable regulation and deregulation. A lot of changes in channel positions and rules and so on for the stations that are carried on various cable systems. So that, in part, is the reason for all the new folks that are able to join us along the lines, and we appreciate it. Rick winds up with a couple of 9 boxes and a 121 to go with the 111 opener. 232 after 2. Another chance here for Ed Joralmon.
Big chance. Down by just 12 now. 2 open frames to work on. Just touched the head pin. 2, 9, and 10.
Interesting to see what this wood does.
There's another piece behind it.
Not quite enough. Almost got over into the corner. Not quite far enough to get the 10 pin. And it's a 9 box. Let's see what happened. Watch the last piece of wood dive over toward the 10 pin. Right there.
116 with a box to come. Down by 12 still. Four, 7, and the 6.
Maybe play the wood. It's kind of deep, but...
Yeah, I think you have to start moving it that way because that...
Oh! How about it? Read that green pretty well, didn't I?
Oh, watch the ball if you can follow it. There you see it bounce back onto the plate, knocking the 2 pins down. That is a huge mark. Cut this down, lead down into single figures with this.
Well, Ed pulled that one a little bit, but he got away with it somewhat. A 6-fill, a 132. So how about this? After 2 games, a 5-pin difference. Bourque and Chojecki still holding on to the lead. Joralmon and Fuller going for their 3rd straight win. We'll be back with Game 3 in a minute.
Just a 5-pin advantage for Bourque and Chojecki. Brian Fuller Ed Joralmon trying to make it 3 wins in a row.
Oh, Brian just slipped by the head pin there. And a 9.
Got a chance here. 2 and a 5.
No. Each team with 6 marks in the match. There's only been 1 strike. That was thrown by Ed Joralmon back in the second game. Couple of 9s. Remember, in the third game, the team of Bourque and Chojecki with the last at bat being the higher seeded team, and Norm Bourque to lead it off for the team. Norm and Rick talked it over between the break, during the break, trying to figure out who would start and finish this third game. They decided on Norm. He'll try to take advantage of it with a spare leave here in the first.
Just missing, going by the 2-pin. Of course, with that triangle, if you can hit the 2-pin even lightly, sometimes that comes off the wall for the 4-pin. That's just an 8. So they drop 1 and count. The lead now down to 4 pins.
Big hit that time. Look out.
Almost fell forward into the 5-pin for the strike, but has the 5 piece of wood out in front. Let's see if it's going to freeze up against the 5-pin. It is going to.
That's a nice, comfortable feeling.
Yes.
And there it is. For the spare. It's been all spares for the team of Bourque and Chojecki, 7 of them now. And they've all come in bunches. They had 2 in a row in the first game, 4 in a row in game 2, and that was their 7th right there. Ed Joralmon. For the spare.
Oh, boy.
Wow.
Can't help but think the wood might have cost him that shot. Wood behind the 3 and the 6.
And the 10-pin is still there. Another 9 box. And there it is. The strike, second one of the match for Ed Joralmon.
4-pin's a little stubborn, too. Watch it walk a little bit across the lane right there. But it's a strike in the 4th. Big ball for Rick Chojecki here now, filling the spare.
A little off target, but carries 6. For the spare? No. That does get the lead back into double figures, at least for the moment. But Rick now moves over to lane 29 here at the Londonderry Bowling Center, opposite that big strike in the 4th by Ed Joralmon. Light on the head pin, and look at this leave.
7, 9, and 10, and all the help is leaving. Well, he's got to play the 10-pin and the wood in front of it. Try to clip the 9 at the same time, and you have some need some help to come across. So the best he can do now is probably a 9.
Well, this match is getting closer by the moment. An 8-box, 42. The lead is 10, but it will be reduced by the fill on that strike, and that will happen when we resume. Don't go away. Brian Fuller working on a strike.
Six and 9.
A piece of wood rolling back. That's going to come halfway back to Brian. Tanya Murphy-Lewis to take care of it, and well, you know, she could have let that just roll off into the channel. She was right out there. She hustled down for that.
Unbelievable, huh? Good training.
She gets that hustle from her dad, I hear.
20 years ago.
Oh, big spare there for Brian Fuller, and after the wait, too. This match is dead even right now with 6 boxes to go, and Brian Fuller puts the spare up in the 5th. Big fill. 9 drop. We're seeing a team gunning for their 3rd straight win, trying to come from behind and do it. Yes, 2 in a row. 2 in a row for Brian, that is. 3 in a row altogether on the strike.
All tie now, but facing Norm Bourque is spare 9 spare.
Well, this is where in a close match, the decision that's made at the beginning of this 3rd game could turn out to be very important, because right now it looks like this match may in fact come down to the last 2 boxes, and if it does, it'll be Brian Fuller against Norm Bourque. And that's a 9-box for Norm. So that makes the lead 10 now for Joralmon and Fuller. Very big shot for Norm now.
1-3-8, very makeable spare with the wood in behind the head pin. Another piece of wood next to the 8 pin. He's got to concentrate on hitting that head pin, though.
Oh, yes. Big shot right there.
You see the replay. It was no problem as long as he gave some contact to that head pin.
Last rotation now. Final 4 boxes. Each bowler will have 2 boxes remaining.
And it's a 10-pin advantage for this gentleman that you're looking at now and his partner, Brian Fuller. That's, of course, Ed Joralmon working on a spare.
Right in the pocket. Boy. Big hit.
Is this a team effort or what?
Wow.
He started it back in the 4th box with a strike. Brian came up through 2 spares. He came back with another strike.
And I can't help but think what an emotional lift that last spare in the 2nd game was. That spare, remember, where the ball came back. Cut that lead down to 5 coming into this game.
5 and 8. Oh boy,
not this time.
Little opening.
And a 9-box. 114 through 8.
Of course, Rick is now working on his spare.
Oh, and right through the heart. Concentrate on hitting the head pin on the fill and right through the middle. A 3 count. That strike really putting the pressure on in the 7th box, and now it's just about imperative here that Rick puts something up.
He's got to have a mark. Absolutely. Down by 28. That's 3 huge marks.
he'll have a shot. Not the one he wants, probably, but the 1, 2, 7, and 10. No. It's an 8, and all of a sudden a commanding position for Joralmon and Fuller.
All of a sudden that ball looks like it's a foot in diameter going into those pins. Everything but the 6-pin. Oh, dropped that one badly behind the foul line.
$10. Brian upset with himself that he missed it the first time. He knows that one more mark could just about close this match out. Wow.
Those two are the quickest 9-pin drops we've had in a few weeks. Especially that one. Everything but the 7-pin. Let's see.
Right there that time.
Didn't expect anything in the 10th, right?
This is the strategy.
That's right.
Phil for a 142 for the team. 369. Same score as last week. Bourque needs a lot of strikes, and that will do it. That makes it official. 3 in a row for Ed Joralmon and Brian Fuller. And this time they had to do it coming from behind.
A lot of pins there in the middle part of this game alone. Strikes, strike 9, strike, spare 9, spare, strike, and then a final spare in the 10th for the 142.
In those 4 boxes from the 4th through the 7th, 78 pins. Just completely took over. After 3 boxes of this game, Joralmon and Fuller were down by 12. But they came roaring back. And they will move into the championship match next week against Dan Valcourt and Charlie Willie. We'll talk a little more about that during our last segment. We'll award some checks to the runners-up and talk to the bowlers. Also give you one more reminder about tomorrow's semifinal match in singles. Tom Morgan will go for his 3rd straight win. The last ball of this match, it will be a 6 fill for Norm Bourque, a 106, and a 3-string total of 338. So that final score a little deceiving. They end up winning by 31, but it was very close until the last few boxes when Joralmon and Fuller put that big stretch in the middle together, you see, with the strike, spare, spare, strike. They win it 3 in a row. We'll be back in a minute. A lot of time left in the hour, but we do have time to talk to our runners-up. First of all, with me, Norm Bourque and Rick Chojecki. Checks for you guys, sharing $250. Not the checks you wanted, but these guys have been very tough.
Yeah, it's early in the year, so hopefully we'll be back. You know, hopefully it won't be too long before we're back.
And for you, Rick, don't stay away so long. 5.5 years is a long time.
Too long. I'll be back.
All right. We appreciate your coming. Congratulations, and we'll see you again, guys.
Okay.
All right. Thanks very much. Norm and Rick, thanks. And once again, we call on Brian Fuller and Ed Joralmon. Make it 3 in a row. Same score as last week, 369. And a big round of applause. We got a little bit of a different script this time, though. Yeah, you guys had to come from behind this time.
Don't ask me how, but it wasn't pretty. But, hey, it was about 4 or 5 boxes in there, and that was the difference of the match right there. That's all I can say. I mean,
that's it. Well, Brian, when you came up, Ed left that strike for you. You came up threw 2 spares on top of it. Then he comes back with a big strike. That's the match right there.
It was 30-something pins right there, and that's all we needed. It worked out well.
Well, now certainly you can think about trying for 4 in a row because you've got 3, and we'll see you for the series championship next week.
We'll be here.
All right, thanks, guys. Congratulations. This applause for you, and we'll take a look at the ladder very quickly before we run away for the weekend, as we're going to have our series championship match next week. It'll be our number 4 seeded team, Ed Joralmon, Brian Fuller, looking for their 4th win in a row. And they will take on that number 1 seeded team of Dan Valcourt and Charlie Willie.
Yeah, very, very tough. Complement each other very, very much, and it's going to be a tough one to knock them off.
All right, don't forget, tomorrow at noon here on The Winds, it'll be the semifinals in singles. Tom Morgan, who has thrown 2 consecutive 400 triples, will try and make it 3 in a row himself. He'll face Mark Gregory. Until then, for Dan Murphy and the whole crew, I'm Doug Brown. Have a good weekend.